Hi, this is Frode, and welcome to Actualize Notes TV, where I deliver 5 great ideas from the book My Life and Work, subtitle An Autobiography of Henry Ford. It's an easy, quick reading book that will give us a view into the life of Henry Ford, from his time as a struggling mechanic to his time where he had sold over 5 million cars. And although this is not a self-help book in itself, it does have a lot of great ideas that can help us actualize our potential. As many of you might know, Henry Ford is the founder of the Ford Motor Company and one of the first to use the conveyor belt. If you're into understanding the mind of some of the greatest people on the planet, then you'll dig this book. With that, let's get a preview of the 5 big ideas. Actualizing ideas. Ideas are valuable, for sure. But if you're not able to turn them into action, they are worth nothing. Serve. We'll talk about how you need to put service first if you want to have money or any other compensation. Getting settled. If you're not improving, you may feel like you are getting settled, but you are probably sagging back. 10 steps equals 50 miles. We'll talk about marginal gains, how small improvements that you make daily will lead to extraordinary results over the long run. Stick-to-itiveness. Another word for it is persistence, but I just love the word stick-to-itiveness. It's the uncrowned king of the world of endeavor, Henry says. Now let's start with the first big idea, actualizing ideas. Henry talks about how ideas are extraordinarily valuable. Business philosopher Jim Rohn says that one idea can transform your entire future, ranging from your health to your finances to your relationships. In other words, they have resonating effects. But Henry also says that almost anyone can think up an idea. The thing that counts is developing it into a practical product. And that's why I call this idea actualizing ideas. Because to actualize is defined as to make actual or real, turn into action or fact. That's important, so I'll write it down. Actualize. Turn into action or fact. Because if we are not able to turn our ideas into action, they are worth nothing, as I said. And if we don't take action immediately, we will fall prey to the law of diminishing intent that Jim Rohn talks about in his book, Leading an Inspired Life. He says, take action as soon as possible, before the feeling passes, and before the idea sims. I'll give you an illustration to see how this works. We have a small graph. Up here, this stands for your enthusiasm, for following through on an idea. This line stands for time. When you get an idea, you might be really enthusiastic and all fired up to use it. But if you don't take action immediately, it will fall prey to the law of diminishing intent. And as time goes, your enthusiasm wanes. And you might actually forget the idea entirely. I used this knowledge to, when I was going to start, thought about the idea of starting to record these videos, write notes, and not just read the books about personal development. If I hadn't taken action immediately, I may have forgotten the project altogether, but I'm extremely happy that I followed through immediately. So do you have an amazing idea right now? If so, that's great. Now, what's the first step you can take towards making it real? Get clear on that and take that first step right now or after watching this video. The second big idea is serve. Since Henry had accumulated such an extraordinary amount of wealth, you might think that he was a greedy person, but he was not. He focused more on service. He didn't just focus on the money. And he says, being greedy is the surest way not to get it, but when one focuses on to serve for the sake of service, for the satisfaction of doing that which one believes to be right, then money abundantly takes care of itself. David Schwartz echoes the same wisdom in The Magic of Thinking Big, where he talks about that we need to put service first. He says, people with a money first attitude become so money conscious that they forget money can't be harvested unless they plant the seeds that grow the money. And the money seed is service. So the money seed is your service. Your focus on pursuing the wisdom, knowledge and skills that you need to do a good job. And your harvest is money. Or it can be any other compensation like joy or satisfaction with your relationships. The thing is that we want to focus on serving first, and money will abundantly take care of itself amongst all other compensation. Third big idea, getting settled. As Henry was going about doing his daily business, he noticed a tendency among many other businessmen to feel that their lot was hard. They were working toward a day when they could retire and live off an income. They had the tendency to get dragged with the downfall of getting settled. But he says, even the man who most feels himself settled is not settled. He's probably sagging back. Because what we're talking about here is that change is necessary. When we live in this environment that we are living in today, where the industry is constantly changing and the new technology, we simply have to change. About 2,000 years ago, the Roman philosopher and emperor Marcus Aurelius echoed the same wisdom in meditations. So change has been around for a long time, and he has a great passage in his meditations. He says, "To continue the same man as you have been up to now, to be torn apart and defiled in this life you live, is just senseless self-preservation like that of half-eaten gladiators who, mauled all over and covered in blood by the wild beasts, still plead to be kept alive for the next day, when in their same state they will meet again those same claws and teeth." Our problems, which are the wild beasts, are not going to change. That's our job. We are the ones who need to get stronger to be able to face the difficulties of tomorrow. Every day you wake up a new person. The question is, will it be a better you or a more settled you? Next big idea, 10 steps equals 50 miles. So even though Henry wasn't a greedy person, he was very vigilant about optimizing his business processes. He would say that if you save 10 steps for each of 12,000 co-workers, you will have saved 50 miles of misspent energy and emotion. 50 miles for 10 steps, 12,000 co-workers. That's just insane. And what we're talking about is marginal gains. Small improvements that you compound and extend over a long period of time will make you achieve extraordinary results. And I'm reminded of some numbers that Jack Canfield talks about in the Success Principles. If you save 1 hour every day for 365 days, you will have accumulated 2 months extra of productive work time. 1 hour equals 2 months. And that's adjusted for 5 8-hour work days each week for 2 months. Think about that. What could you do with 2 extra months of work time in 1 year if you just took away one bad habit and placed in a good one? For example, I have altogether quit watching television and replaced it with reading books because that helps my work. But since I know that's a bit of a drastic solution, you don't have to stop watching TV. You can get extra time by doing other things. For example, shopping in bulk instead of shopping several times a week. Just write down everything you need and buy food once a week. You can also start planning your days. Brian Tracy talks about in the book Eat That Frog that if you save 10 to 12 minutes by planning your, you spend 10 to 12 minutes planning your days before you start your work, you will save about 100 to 120 minutes. So that's about 2 hours. And the reason for that is that when you do your work, you don't have to constantly stop and think about what do you need to do next. Because if you plan your work, you'll be able to save a lot more time and go more smoothly through it. Another tip is to wake up 30 minutes earlier and read a good book, something instructional and inspirational. Over the long run, it will be extraordinary for you, what you'll be able to achieve. So what is the equivalent of 10 steps equals 50 miles for you if you replace one bad habit with one good habit? Last big idea, stick-to-itiveness. Yes, Henry talks about that more men are beaten than fail. What we need is not more wisdom, knowledge, money, or experience. What we need is just plain gristle and bone. I love that. And he says, stick-to-itiveness is the uncrowned king of the world of endeavor. Something he obviously proves through creating one of the greatest companies of all time. Theodore Roosevelt, the 26th President of the United States, calls this staying power, which he used for becoming the president, of course, but also for writing the book The Naval War of 1812. Even though he didn't like seamanship, he mastered every nuance and technical term of seamanship, so he could write that book. The reason he wrote the book, I don't know, because it didn't say in his biography, but you get the point. In a famous TED Talk, Angela Duckworth talks about grit, and she says, "Grit is passion and perseverance for very long-term goals. Grit is having stamina. Grit is sticking with your future, day in, day out, not just for the week, not just for the month, but for years, and working really hard to make that future a reality. Grit is living life like it's a marathon, and not a sprint." The way I'm using grit right now is to use studying and 2 part-time jobs to sustain me while doing this work, the work I love, helping you actualize your potential through delivering great ideas from books. What is the one area of your life that you need grit, staying power, or stick-to-itiveness right now? Get clear on that and stay gritty. So that was stick-to-itiveness. 10 steps equals 50 miles. One tiny improvement each day over the long run equals extraordinary results. Getting settled. If you're not improving, you may feel like you're getting settled, but you're probably sagging back. Serve. Instead of focusing on money first, you want to focus on service first, and money will abundantly take care of itself, and all other compensation, of course. Actualizing ideas. Ideas are valuable. They are worth nothing if you don't turn them into action or fact. That's why we want to actualize our ideas. That might be valuable for us. So, this was the funniest episode I had in a while. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I am looking forward to share more wisdom with you soon, and I trust that you continue to actualize your potential. Go out and make this an awesome day. See ya.